All right, good morning from wonderful, windy Wyoming. Here this morning, we're going to move into our next section, talk about teachers' interaction with others, students, and helpers. And so this morning specifically, we're going to talk about the helper. And so let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse number 9. Ecclesiastes 4:9 says, "Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor." And so we see here this idea is scriptural, that there would be two and that they would work together to accomplish the goal. And so oftentimes we bring in a helper for multiple reasons. It can be for behavior, to help with the behavior in the class. It can be to help with a particular burden in the class, and sometimes they can be there for safety. They can be there for just kind of support. Also, they can be there for training, and so there's lots of reasons why we might bring a helper in, but we want to bring them in the right way. The only thing that's worse than losing your helper is keeping your helper and never training them. And so we want to train our helpers to be able to be effective in helping us with the vision that God's given us as teachers. And so a teacher will use a helper very wisely and in a way that's a benefit to the teacher, the helper, and the students. And so that's what we're looking for. Each week you want to set aside time to be able to train your helpers. Spend a little bit of time, help them out. If they're doing things during the class, help give them some critique on what they do well, things that maybe they need to work on. And so we can help them to grow, help them to develop, and oftentimes we can do that on a weekly basis. Now, we do have to be careful not to over-criticize and help them to feel unappreciated. So one of the things that we should do is we should tell them thank you every single time they help. When they're leaving for today, just say, hey, thank you. I appreciate you being here and being a part of this class. This class couldn't happen without you. And that's something great that we want to hear. You know, our ministry doesn't happen without our volunteers and those that come in and are part of that. And so we need that helper here in order to be able to have an effective class. And so we're thankful for that. We want to help them to understand that. The other thing that we should do, and this isn't every class, but occasionally we do need to do something special to say thank you. I have mine set up for once a quarter. I do something that's just a little bit extra to say thank you, whether it's a handwritten card or maybe a little trinket or gift that just tells them that I'm thinking about them and I want to say thank you for what they do. And so we do that every Christmas. We do a little Christmas party to say thank you for your service, and we can't do it without you. And so we want people to understand that and know that they're appreciated. And then we talk about the training. We want to help our helpers to understand how they can be a help to us. And so I do believe that helpers are part of your entire class. Some people get the wrong impression of helpers. Like a helper, you just sit over there in the corner, and if something goes wrong, you can jump in here and then you can help out. Or, if I decide I want to take a day off, then you can just jump in and take over. And that's not really the idea behind having a helper. A helper is somebody who's there all throughout the class, and they need an active role throughout the class, whatever that may be. It may be that you have them set up for behavior. Explain to them how you want that to work. How are they going to handle different situations, and how are they going to move about the room, and when is something okay and when is something not okay. And so there's a lot of training that happens with that, just teaching them how to serve in that way. Look for opportunities throughout the class for them to be more involved than just kind of a behind the scenes role. So like especially in children's church, we have multiple different roles that happen throughout our children's church. And so we'll be singing a song, and then we'll come over here and have a time of prayer, and then we'll go over there and work on a memory verse, and we come over here and do a lesson, and we go over there and do a little illustration, and then we have the salvation illustration, and we have a time of invitation and counseling, and then games and this and that. And there's all these parts, and so help them to learn to do all those different parts. That's always my goal with my helpers, is to try to help them to understand how to do each part of the class. And I change those responsibilities, try to do that regularly. So we allow them to do something till they get good at it, and then we move them on to the next task and trying to help them to be rounded and be able to do all the different parts that our class requires. And so so it's something that I believe is important, and so we spend a lot of time just training our helpers so that they know what their job is. At the end of class, you can thank them. You can let them know what they did well. If there's something they need to work on, you guys can talk about that as well. Sometimes we have to have a conversation. Okay, we had this problem in class today. What can we do with this next week so this doesn't become a problem? This child just would not sit in their chair right, and what can we do to make this better next week? And oftentimes you can brainstorm, come up with a solution, and then implement that the next week to make your class a better place. And so it's something that is a huge blessing to have a helper. And we tell people in our ministries, they are not your sub. And so we had, for a while, we had issues where we would give teachers helpers. They would just tell the helper to sit in a corner. And then if they wanted a day off, they'd be like, oh, by the way, you're teaching next week. And that was kind of what they used them for. And I don't believe that's proper use of a helper. Helpers should have an active role in every class and an active opportunity to be serving the Lord. And it should be something that you guys do together as they help you to reach your vision of teaching the children. And so we want to help them. We want to help our students. We want to help. It helps ourselves as well. It's a blessing all the way around, and everybody wins when we do helpers right. So I want to challenge us, have helpers, and use them and help them to understand that they're a vital part of your ministry, and then help them to learn and grow, and help them to understand how they can be best using your class. We use typically for helpers, we allow them to start being helpers once they hit the teenage years. So 13s and up, so we allow them to come into some of our classes and help. Like Sunday school, we have a specific Sunday school for them, so our helpers would be older in Sunday school. But in like a children's church setting, once they're a teenager, we allow them to come back in and be part of helping those students. And we do trainings that last up to several years. And so we're able to train them all the way around and help them to understand how the ministry works. And when they're done, the goal is that they can teach the class. It could become their class, and actually that's how we run it. We allow them to have the class for a year and use the skills that we've taught them to then teach the students and give back in that way. So hope this is a blessing. If you have comments or questions, you can leave them in the comments below. All right, thank you. God bless.